Hello, hello. How we doing, everybody? What's going on? What is up? Welcome back. Actually, a lot to talk about today. A lot of random kind of news and random stuff that has come out, but a lot of important news to get through. There's the Semenyo stuff. There's the midfield stuff. There's the João Gomez stuff. And there is as well the Benjamin Sesko injury. A lot of things that I've shared that have been essentially confirmed as of now that I want to talk through. So yeah, like I said, and I put this on Twitter as well, but I might have to cut today's live short at a drop of a hat, just in case my son is unfortunately ill and I had to pick him up from school and bring him home today. So he's home, he's watching a movie and hanging out now, but if I need to do anything, obviously I will go check him out in a little bit. But for now, he'll be okay. And we'll get through what we can. So I've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. So I appreciate you all being here. Let me throw up a poll real quick. As you guys come in, please do make sure to drop a like on the video. It helps a lot. It takes a moment of your time. And it's very, very easy. Very, very easy. So let's do that real quick. Have you liked the video? Yes. Semenyo. Yes. Because I will. All right, let's make it simple. All right. I thought Semenyo was Liverpool's player if they wanted him. Well, let's talk actually about Sesko first. No United view. I couldn't join the red carpet because I was going and picking up my son and bringing him home at that time, unfortunately. So, as you can tell, I'm kind of trying to rush to do what I can today. So I have something because there's actually quite a lot of news. Let's talk about Benjamin Sesko first. Obviously, first and foremost, in terms of Benjamin Sesko's injury. Now, I did tell everybody, I think it was last week, following the injury, that as far as I'd heard, it wasn't going to be serious, but he wasn't going to be back immediately after the international break. That's what I'd heard. There was swelling, pain in the knee, things like that. Again, not an ACL injury or anything like that, but certainly an injury that will take a little bit of time. And, it's good in that it's not like a muscle tear, like a hamstring, but, some kind of sprain, it seems, where just based on everything, it's going to take a little bit of time. So realistically, with how careful United are at injuries, I'd be surprised if he's starting before Christmas. Just saying, I think it would be surprising if he started before Christmas, given that it's, the 17th right now. I know that's at the long end of the spectrum and timeline, but bear in mind, we're going to have a lot of games in between now and then. He'll obviously want to be on the bench and then getting minutes and appearances. So if he returns 3 weeks from now, that doesn't necessarily mean starting 3 weeks from now. So maybe by Christmas back in the starting lineup or so. So maybe Boxing Day would be his first start back with the team. So clearly this provides an opportunity, as we've discussed, for Joshua Zirkzee to seize the opportunity, as well in that in a couple of games before that, we might be losing Mbeumo and Ahmad, for maybe 1 or 2 games before Sesko is starting again. So this is a big one for Josh. This is a big one for Joshua Zirkzee, and this is an interesting one as it will relate to potentially this Semenyo opportunity. Not in the real world, but at least in my feelings at the moment. Because right now, Zirkzee should get an opportunity up front. I have a feeling we will be trying some different things up there. As I've said recently, I do expect he will get his opportunities now. He will get some chances during this period. That's been expressed to him by the club. What does that mean? What can he do with these chances? It's time, man. It's time. I have hopes for Zirkzee, and it's time. But it's also a crucial time. It's a crucial time for Zirkzee because we need more forwards. If you actually look at our contingent of forwards, it sounds really good on paper, and it's getting a lot better because we've improved the front end really, really well. But it's Cunha, new signing. Mbeumo, new signing. It's going great. Sesko, new signing, and young, and will need time. And then what's after that? Mason Mount. I really like Mount. Has not had a proven track record at United of fitness at all yet. Xerxes has not proved much as of yet. And then it's taking Ahmad out of position, and he's much, much better out wide than he is in that front three. It's kind of shallow. It's a little bit shallow, and we have really good options at the top end. That's the nice part. We like really good players, but it is shallow. If we weren't playing 2 games a week right now, and we have a game like every 4 or 5 days now, and then Shesh goes out, you start to look and say, it's a little shallow. It's a little bit shallow. You know? We need to see more from some of these guys. I think Mason Mount has taken his opportunities well this season, and it's helping, but there's always like a hope and a prayer of his fitness, you know? Even the Liverpool knock that he got, he hasn't really been playing much since then. So, like, has he played at all since then? Very briefly against Spurs, so clearly that was affecting him. He had already had a little bit of injury early in the season, but they're getting shorter. Not big injuries anymore, but still, even on limited minutes, he's still picking up little knocks here and there. Xerxes hasn't barely played. Maybe Kabi will get some time in one of these front 3 positions, but regardless, we're not convinced, right? We don't have a full contingent of forwards in there. If someone like Xerxes can really nail down a spot, that would help a lot. But if he can't nail down that spot, well, I think we need to know soon. I think we need to know very soon because of this. Because of this. Because of this, unfortunately. Now, Bournemouth may be powerless to prevent Antoine Semenyo's sale in January. Contract includes $65 million release clause available to all clubs. Must be triggered by set date, so they get time to replace. Applies again in summer at a lower price. So Semenyo is available. He has a release clause. He's an incredible player. We've all heard Liverpool are ahead, and that. Look, I hear you on that, okay? And I'm not going to sit here and deny it. I've reached out to a couple people, and I'll tell you what they've said to me so far. That being said, I don't care. It's not about whether Liverpool feel like they have it all wrapped up or not. I don't really give a shit about that. People have said that about plenty of signings. You know, Arsenal thought they had Cunha wrapped up at one point. Newcastle thought they had Mbumo wrapped up at one point. You know, they also felt they had Sesko wrapped up at one point. They've been kind of shit this season. All I'm saying is, I don't care about Liverpool. We know what Liverpool are. For me, it's about United. Because if I look at Liverpool, you can say they're ahead for Semenyo, he's going to play, things like that, right? Where? 120 million on Ekitike, on Isak, 80 million on Ekitike. Salah's still there, by the way. He's not gone. Like, Wirtz, who probably isn't going to fit in the midfield and is going to have to be one of the front 3. I see more opportunities for Semenyo at United right now because he can play in 5 positions, and 2 of them haven't been nailed down, in my opinion. Flanders, thank you and welcome back to the membership. You know, I look at that and I go, wait, are they going to bench Salah? They have Gakpo as well, right? Yep. They've spent so much money on forwards. And let me say this from my knowledge of Liverpool so far. Not to say I think they're trying to scare everybody off. Because what I will say is this. I randomly and occasionally, and some people can vouch for this, have, for some reason, very good Liverpool sources due to some contacts that I actually knew through the United side that ended up somehow giving me information on Liverpool. But some people can vouch for this fact. Some of the people who are in the Patreon here know this. But like when Jurgen Klopp was retiring, or quitting Liverpool. I knew it years, like literally a year ahead of time. I put a rumor from someone that I know about this right after the World Cup 2022, I think it was. I put it in the Patreon. I said, look, I'm hearing, by the way, Klopp's thinking of walking away. He's tired, he's beat, and he wants to leave. And it was true. So anyway, my point in that whole discussion is I've asked some people who may know, and I will tell you that their first priority is the back line in January, and they're going to make another push for Guéhi. That's for sure. Semenyo, they're definitely interested, but I haven't had as firm an answer as of yet. I think very much 100% they're going to be pushing again for Guéhi, which we know. And again, I only look at that and say, well, what if United try? It's less about what Liverpool are going to do. So even there on Guéhi, I'm wondering, what if United try? What if United try? But that is their main priority is probably to add a center back in January. That's what they're going to do first for sure. Semenyo, to me, Semenyo, when I look at it, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for United. It's an opportunity for anybody, to be quite honest. So I don't know yet if we will. I don't know yet if we will do it. But he's a player we certainly really, really like. He's a player we certainly highly admire. And when I look at the front line, we still need it. And this leads me back to this Josh Zirkzee discussion. Zirkzee wants to play. There are teams in Italy right now who will buy Zirkzee if we wanted to move him on, or at least do a loan and obligation. If we wanted to move him on, Zirkzee-wise, we could do that. If Zirkzee isn't there, 100% there, by Christmas, if he's not nailing a spot down, and we're not seeing much from him, and Sesko's injured, and Mbeumo's going to AFCON, we need to be in this conversation. Because Zirkzee going, and I would like Zirkzee to succeed at United, don't get me wrong, but I have to be pragmatic about this. Zirkzee going and put the money in for Semenyo and be in that conversation, and Semenyo could play in the 9 in this team quite well, actually. I probably would see him, even though I've done my thing about him being a wingback, I would see him at the 9 right now more than any other position. 9, left 10, right 10, left wingback, right wingback. He could play any of them. But that is a sensible opportunity for United to be involved in, and one they need to be alive to, in my opinion. Will they? I don't know yet. I'm not sure. But they should be. And they've certainly been around it, and they've certainly been interested, and they've certainly been kept abreast of the situation. And we were very close to a transfer for him before in summer. Yeah. Amorim had, spoke to him. Apparently, according to Duncan Castles, had dinner with them. So, maybe. Now, look, do we need to spend our money on the midfield? Of course. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about passing up the midfield for Semenyo. We'll get back to that in a minute, to the midfield discussion. I'm not talking about that. But we still also will need more forwards next year. We go into Champions League or something like that, and I want to see, bringing off the bench, you want to see the quality of players like, Acuna or a Sesko or a Semenyo coming off the bench. You want to have at least one of those types of level of options coming off the bench. You know what I mean? So it's an opportunity I think United have to be totally alive to. Totally alive to. It would be a shame if they were not alive to it. So it's all timed quite interestingly with Sesko's injury, with Zirkzee maybe getting a chance, but there are clubs in Italy right now that would take Zirkzee in January if we want to move him. So we have to think about it. And I know it's probably Liverpool, but again, they're going to address that back line first. I'd like to see us compete over Guéhi as well. I'd like to see us compete for the best talents in the Premier League. because this is what, works. This is the strategy United need to employ. Not saying everybody has to be from the Premier League, but look at all of our targets. Semenyo should be homegrown too. Yeah, he's. I believe he's played in England his whole career, hasn't he? Homegrown. United got to be in this conversation. He fits so well the profile of physical attributes that they're building right now too. Yeah. It's so, to me, it's going to be an interesting few weeks with Sesko out, with Xerxes getting a chance. Can he grab it? Can he nail it down? Otherwise, do we need to consider moving on Xerxes and then making a move for someone like Semenyo? Because it would be silly, obviously, to just go spend more money on forwards when we need midfielders. But if we have players not making it, not playing, then it would make a lot of sense.
I want him so much, but if Liverpool present him a project of him being the Salah successor, going to be hard for us. Better prioritize the midfield.
Yeah, Jason. Look, I agree with that. If he's the Salah replacement, which is obviously to a degree the sales pitch, then it's going to be tough. But now on this whole Salah situation, did they not just give him a new deal? Would they outright buy Xerxes just a loan? I think if United were to move him, it'd be a loan with a purchase at the end of it. I know it's all about Salah's are going to leave and this and that, and everybody's saying it, but why? Are we sure about that? Are you sure about that? Where's Salah going to go? Where's Salah going to go? He just got a new giga contract. Where's he going? I feel to a degree it's almost like a little bit of there's a little bit of fantasy in this that Salah's leaving right away, and they're replacing him. But they might be. But they got Ekitike, Wirtz, and Isak this summer, saying he's going to Saudi. Where? Where's the sign that he's going to go to Saudi? I don't actually think Salah's going to Saudi. In fact, I think he's not going to Saudi at all. I'd be shocked if he goes to Saudi next summer. I think if he leaves, he's going to stay in Europe. I don't think he's going to go to Saudi. I just don't think he will. I think people use Saudi as a get-out-of-jail-free card to describe where everybody's leaving. Casemiro, everybody kept saying he was going to go to Saudi. I still don't think he's going to Saudi at the end of summer. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he wants to go to Saudi. I think it's an interesting thing there. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I look at how things are going with Liverpool, and I just think we should be in that conversation, and we should have a chance. But I do understand. That of course the idea is that there's a lot there on Liverpool. There's a lot there in Liverpool. He's not who he used to be. Since when? He was the best player in the league last season, carried them to a league title. It's been 3 months of this season. Suddenly Salah's finished. I enjoy that for the banter, but this feels like fan fantasy. I'm not going to lie. It feels like fan fiction, the whole Salah narrative. The whole Salah narrative feels like fan fiction to me. He was the best player in the Premier League last season, won them the title, got a new contract, has had a slower start to the season, and now 3 months in, he's finished and he's leaving to Saudi? Feels like fan fiction. I genuinely think it's fan fiction. I think he'll be here next season. Same as ever. I think he'll be here the next season, and we'll see. Liverpool just, we'll see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of season left. But look, I hear you on the fact too, Jason, of this thing of we need to prioritize the midfield and stuff, and we do. But the problem is, it was a month ago on here, I told you, I think it was Tubby who kept asking, Tub Sabres, and it kept asking with the donations, are we going to get one of our guys in January? And I kept saying, no, because we're not going to get one of, and this has kind of been confirmed now, today. No, it's not far-fetched for him to go to Saudi. It's just that I just don't think there isn't actually I don't think there's actually anything concrete about him moving to Saudi yet. You know what I mean? That's why I'm saying that. Like, I think it's just, it's easy to connect the dots for some obvious reasons, but I don't think there's anything in that yet. But look, let me wrap up this Semenyo section on this. Xerxes will get a chance with Sesko being out 3-4 weeks to try and nail down a spot. But if he can't, there are teams in Italy that would take Joshua Xerxes. And then he would play, and he wants to play more, and he wants to get into that World Cup side, and so he'd be open to that. And there are clubs that'd be interested in that. And if he cannot nail down that spot, Antoine Semenyo, that is an opportunity. You've got to see United being involved, and we just have to. We just have to see United in the race for him there. And I could see a world where Xerxes goes out in January, and they make a move for Semenyo. Can we convince him? Will we do it? That's unknown as of yet, but with this release clause, United have to be in the picture. You've got to be in the frame for the best players in the Premier League taking that step up. We should have been in the frame for Michael Olise, and we couldn't in the past. Semenyo is another player like that. Just like we got Mbeumo and Cunha, we need to be there to get these best players from lower down the table. And we know United have been interested, but I would really, really like to see them get him if they can. And this whole Xerxes situation could provide us an opportunity there that could work financially and could be one out, one in, and give us something in January. So we'll see. We'll see. Swap Xerxes for Semenyo. So anyway, let's move on then to the midfield aspect of this, because as it was, a while ago, I said that we probably wouldn't get unfortunately, any of our main midfield targets in January, just because they're not available. And that's pretty much all been confirmed. Brighton are putting a full hands off on Baleba in January. They really want to hope that his value goes back up and that everybody's competing for him. We have this from Forest today. Let me just pull this story up. It says, along with Newcastle, Manchester United's interest in Elliot Anderson is strong. However, Nottingham Forest made it clear there'll be no sale in January and value him at over 100 million. So there's that. And then you also had people say, we also know Adam Wharton is one of the other names, and it's been said that Crystal Palace have no interest in selling him in January as well. So we're in this pickle, which is that all of our top targets for the midfield are simply unavailable in January. There's fuck all we can do about that. Every one of our midfield targets is unavailable in January, but we know we're interested. We've been talking about this last few days. I've done numerous videos and lives. What we want, the intention is there. So if we can't do it in January, that's why I'm like, we'll just get Semenyo. Have him help us get into Champions League and get the money so we can go drop 150, 170 million on our midfield in summer and finish this fucking thing. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. Now, someone pointed out in the comments, put like a team together of what I dream about at night. One of you might be in here. But yeah, I dream about this. Sesko, Cunha, Mbeumo, Semenyo, Ahmad, Baleba, Anderson, De Ligt, Yoro, Lamens. I mean, I don't know about Van de Ven. I don't particularly dream of Van de Ven, but like this is a team. This is a team that would be like insane. That's what we have to go for. So if we get Champions League, we can go spend 200 million this summer on rebuilding the midfield. That's why I think United have to be very alive to the opportunities in January. If we're alive to Semenyo in January as an opportunity that helps us get into Champions League, then these huge, expensive midfielders we want suddenly become financially possible. They suddenly become midfielders we can afford. If United get Champions League with the wages that are being cleared off, Casemiro, Maguire, obviously the loans that are out there, and the fact that they already had 80 million in space essentially to play with, we can go and spend 200, 250 million in the market quite easily. doing something in January that doesn't supersede that helps us get there, could be the thing that makes it happen. It would be incredible. It would be absolutely incredible. I want to see it. I think this is a serious opportunity. So I would love to see that. But like, yeah, I mean, and it wouldn't screw us either. We can go spend, 200 million without screwing up our finances. Like, we'd still be fine. We can do that regularly. Doesn't Anderson want Newcastle? I mean, he's a Newcastle boy, but I don't think that it's going to matter that much at the end of all things. You know what I mean? Then there was another one. We've talked about him a lot recently, and this is coming from Portugal. It says Manchester United are considering João Gomez in January. Gomez is not ruling out a move, but United would have to pay around 44 million for the midfielder. Now, that is a really, 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 again, I will say, very, very realistic and intriguing purchase, because I'm a big fan of Gomez, as we know. At that price as well, which is kind of what I expect, because I believe there's probably some clauses for him. That's a really, really, really good price for a very, very good player that would help United a lot this season. And it doesn't mean you can't go get more midfielders next summer. He wouldn't, in the long term, you could get Gomez and Anderson and somebody else and, have Kabi when Bruno departs. Like, there's so many things you could do there. But in the meantime, he gives you somebody you could actually start with Bruno. You could actually bring Casemiro off for Premier League proven, athletic, all sorts of stuff like that. So I would say it's another one where I really like to see United be in that conversation for João Gomez. If the price is around 40 to 50 million or 40 million pounds for João Gomez, and that's obtainable in January, that's another player like Semenyo that can make a serious difference to the team, and could be the difference this season between getting into Champions League or not. And on that basis alone, it is worth, the investment, the potential investment in, in January to do that. I mean, the difference between Europa, it's that if that one player can make that much of a difference, it's huge and give us depth for the long term. So these are two real opportunities for us, I see, where, yeah, we want our long-term targets. We know Baleba and Anderson are probably our ideal midfield for the future. But what about what comes after that? I'd rather get Gomez than pay Casemiro to stay longer. I'd rather have Gomez, 24 years old, as rotation in the future than keep Casemiro. Not because I don't like Casemiro, but there's no future in that. At most, it's pushing the cart down the road another year, and we're still going to need depth, and we're still going to need that. When we getting into Champions League and playing 2 games a week, like, we need this. I want young players. I want players like that. That's what we need. That's what we should be aiming for, and really building a cohesive big squad. Like I was saying the other day, I think United need a big midfield, like a full midfield squad. Give me so many options, that work. And Gomez would be really good on that. And obviously he'd be much cheaper in lots of respects. So it would make a ton of sense to me. It would just make a ton of sense to me. These are what I'm looking at. We know long term it's Baleba and Anderson. That's what they're really wanting. Maybe Wharton as an alternative in there. But the opportunities in January are Semenyo and Gomez, in my opinion. Those are the two, and maybe Guehi, by the way, too. Gomez, Semenyo, maybe Guehi. These are opportunities where I look and go, these are good players that United should add to their squad. And that means, like, it might be worth putting the money forward to do it at that time, because it'll make a big difference now, but it's not just now. You want those guys in the long term too. You want to have those guys later on because we need more of them, you know? We need more of them in the future. And then what happens in summer? Well, you can let Casemiro and Ugarte go if you get Gomez. And with the savings you get from that, you can go and still get your second midfielder easily. And that doesn't rule out Anderson. I'm saying you get Anderson and Gomez. Gomez, you go get Anderson, you move on Ugarte, you move on Casemiro. You can still buy another player. You know? So this would be, to me, really, really smart business. We're going to have so many games coming up. And I think because the season's been so like dry, one game, so long between games, it's not apparent that our squad it's better, but it's a huge, it's not a massive drop off necessarily in quality at every position or anything, but it's massive drop off in profile. The profiles change so much when you go from starting to next. And that's one of the reasons we cannot maintain leads. It's one of the reasons our second halves are so bad. It's one of the reasons why we cannot keep, why the game state gets so chaotic in the last 30 minutes. Our team and our profiles change so much. And it's why we have to stick with the same, maybe not ideal first 11 every week to try to get ahead so that we don't collapse. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. If we have more similar players who can provide similar traits, it's going to give us way more stability. And that we are severely lacking in this team. That is something really, really lacking. Next year we should be aiming to have, if we're going back into Champions League, we should be aiming to have Bruno, Kabi, Anderson, Gomez, and Baleba. And that would make me happy to have 5 midfielders like that, because Bruno will be gone at some point in the future. And, it's like we need that to play all these games, all these competitions. You'd be playing a different midfield in your midweek games than you would at the weekend. You need to be able to do that. Just straight up a whole different midfield. So, yeah, I'd like to see that. Here's my question for you guys. This is an interesting thought, okay? With these kinds of opportunities. If this was the opportunity to sign them in January in particular, which one do you think would be better to get in January as a January signing? Which one of these do you think would be a better opportunity right now? If it had to be one, which would be more urgent in that respect? I'm mixed because I think Semenyo is a better player, but I think Gomez could be more helpful now and in the future. I don't know. Probably Semenyo though. Probably Semenyo. I have a feeling Semenyo will win the poll pretty easily as well. But because Semenyo is just probably the better player. But Gomez would help us a lot too. Long term though, I don't know. I would say Semenyo, just because I think goal scorers and having top forwards and things is just such a vital part of everything. The poll should be there. Do you see it? I see votes. But then again, I don't know, man. Gomez comes in, makes big difference in that midfield. I think this season, Gomez would make more difference, but next season, Semenyo would be more important to have. We're forgetting the AFCON? Yeah. Well, no, because we'll be missing. That's true. Hold on one second. Let me just take this call really quick. All right, sorry about that. Okay, yeah. So poll wise, seems like most everybody feels Semenyo, and I would have to tend to agree. I think that's I think in the long term, it's the best choice. But yeah, unfortunately, as we know, our major targets for the midfield are just very, very unlikely to be available in January. So these are the opportunities, but there's a lot growing, and that's the kind of that I really want to see us do something in January. Like I look at this team and I think it's so on the edge. I'm not going to be like pissed if we don't make a signing in January, but I will be looking at it and going, it better work. You know, I don't like to pass judgment. I don't like to pass judgment on things beforehand. You know, people were really, really upset about Tell. Thank God we didn't do that. Of course, he scored against us, but well, yeah. But still, like, I don't like to pass judgment and panic and get upset about things before I know for sure the outcomes. And I can understand if it works out that, you know, not making necessarily a signing, saving the money and the time for what we needed is a good thing if it works out. But when I evaluate where we're at as a team, I do think a signing can be. I think it's a coin flip without it. I think it's a coin flip without a signing right now. I think we'll get Europe, but I think it's a coin flip between Champions League and Europa or Conference if we don't make a signing. It's a coin flip. So, yeah, I mean, maybe with someone like Wolves, yeah, I mean, that's an interesting idea. Maybe we could loan them Kone or something like that. But if we can get somebody in January, and here's the other thing about it, right, in terms of the feeling, is that the other factor is I think these names are not like panic signing names either. These are opportunities that are not like, these are not opportunities that are like, oh, let's get Sabitzer on loan or some shit like that. You know what I mean? You're talking about players that I think have a long-term place in the squad that you could get in January that will be a part of the future. There's a big difference between making smaller little panic signings, which they're not going to do, you know, little things where they don't think that they're going to make much of an impact, where they're not a part of the long-term plans and spending the space on players like that, versus getting players that have a future at the club in January. And those opportunities are not there every year. The Semenyo one is an opportunity. Could the Gomez one also be an opportunity? Could the Guehi one be an opportunity? I think those are the three biggest opportunities that are there in January. And they're players that are good for now and good for the future. So, yeah, it would be, I think it would be silly to pass them up. It'd be silly to not think about it. And it doesn't mean they're the top priorities. And it doesn't mean they're, you know, they're our first choice. You know, we know our top priorities. We need to build a squad. We need a squad. Even if we were to add Anderson and Baleba next summer, we still need a midfielder, another midfielder in my eyes, replacing Casemiro, replacing Bruno in the long term. We still need more. And that's in a two-man midfield. What if someday we playing a three-man midfield again? We're going to be short on options really quickly. And that's, again, 2 games a week. And it's the same for the forwards, man. We need options. You know, this could be a game changer for the season, but also for next season. It's not like we go into Champions League next year and Semenyo, you know, if we had Semenyo, we wouldn't be using him. He'd be playing every week probably. Between him, Cunha, Sesko, and Mbumo, whoever's playing best. 3 of them. Like, that's not crazy. And the same in the midfield. Baleba, Anderson, Gomez, you know, Kobe. The 2 best are playing. And then you have midweek. And then it's like, we need this. So, yeah. These are opportunities. I'm I think United have to be alive to this. I really hope they are going to be alive to this, honestly, to these opportunities. I really, really hope so, because these are targets we've been looking at. And that's the other part. It's not just that they're targets. It's guys they know everything about. We've been watching Gomez for 2 years. 3 years, maybe. We've been watching Semenyo for 2 years. Year and a half. We were interested in Gomez the year we bought Ugarte, and we didn't get him. We were interested in Semenyo, obviously, to get him this summer. We've been interested in these players before. So we know a lot about them. It's not, nothing's going to surprise us. They're in the Premier League. I mean, it is kind of crazy. When do you get potentially the opportunity to get 3? You know, I don't know if United are going to make the decision to do it. You know, what I'm trying to share here and why I feel a little optimistic about it is that I know for a fact they like these players and they're interested in them and they've been watching them and following them and considering them for the long term. I know that for a fact. So whether they're going to make a move, I cannot say yet. But I also know that they have the financial wherewithal, and they were willing to spend money in January. If one of their major targets was available, they would have done it in January. They would do it in January. These are, I think, opportunities, and it does not come around often that you get one of the chance to get maybe up to 3 players in the Premier League from Premier League clubs that are available in January. 3 good players that are ripe for a step up that are available in January or potentially available in January. We don't have certainty on Gomez yet, but like that opportunity doesn't come along very often. As we've seen with Anderson, Baleba, Wharton, it's like hands off. I don't know, man. We got to do something. We got to do something. We got to do something. The difference between getting Champions League and not right now could be one of these players. It's a coin flip. There's going to be a lot of games between now and Christmas. So, yeah. Anyway, a better way to start your week than this. Yeah. I appreciate you all being here. I do. So yeah, it's good. It's good. But we just need to see United are quiet as part of it, and that's part of the disconcerting part. And you'll know from summer, you know, as I did in the lead up to last summer, it was very easy to prepare the idea of what they were looking at. Very hard to tell exactly what they're doing. You know what I mean? And they're certainly not briefing things like that all around. So, yeah. The only other weird story is I saw this thing about United starting a basketball team. Do you guys think that's true? I don't know what kind of source it was. But United starting a basketball team, I imagine that's like what like Madrid and Barcelona and all that of a Euro, NBA Euro team. That's interesting. I mean, that'd be cool. I would love to support a United basketball team. That'd be fun. That's the only other interesting story today. I don't know. Is the Adam Wharton news false? Look, I would say if we were making a bid for Adam Wharton, other people would be reporting it right now. I think, as I said at the time, that it was sort of a very random, lucky incident that occurred with a certain account on Twitter and Baleba in summer. And to be fair, he wasn't even first. You guys know we knew that United were considering this move for Baleba like 2 weeks before that, when I was in Chicago on a tour. I dropped that kind of hints on it. And I know that everybody, I spoke to people there, Steven Housen, Flex, like a lot of us knew already by then. So it wasn't like even this big secret. It was just like, it was more like a, could we actually? And then he just like reported and it sort of broke it open. But like everybody already knew that, who had been around the club on the tour, that United were looking at Baleba. So I think there was a little bit of a luck here that got legitimized. And then since then, it's just been nonsense after fucking nonsense. Nonsense after nonsense after nonsense. So that's my stance on it at the moment. I don't take it seriously. The other thing is obviously there was somebody reporting that Anderson had a ton of clauses, which apparently is not true, but whatever. Yeah, but no, I doubt we've placed a bid for Adam Wharton at this point. I mean, what was it? 2 weeks ago, Indy was talking about a secret plan for Bruno sold to Saudi, and it's already that, like, it's just bullshit, man. It's just endless bullshit, just spewing. And like I said, I think it was just a random luck and all of that. Night Ramon, thank you for hanging out today. That's it. Yeah, I think it's just bullshit. I wouldn't think much about it. It's whatever, man. I would need to see a massive amount of evidence more to believe a single word that comes out of Indy's mouth at this point. Like, come on, man. It's been so obvious that it's all just crap for some time. And if you followed for years, you know who Indy is. It is what it is. There is a relegation clause though for Anderson. Yeah, that may be the case. Maybe there is that one, but I'm not sure Forest will get relegated. You know, that could be, yeah, that certainly. But I don't think there's a bunch of other ones that make it cheaper if they're staying up or anything. Yeah, like there's not like a release clause, and I don't think they're gonna go down either. So, yeah, I don't think they're gonna go down either. So yeah, I mean, Marinakis is gonna ask us for everybody for a bucket load of money, but they'll probably sell. And I think what he does is going to be important. Anderson, if he's requesting a move, if he's pushing, I think that's important as well. I think that's more the key in terms of this move, for Anderson in the summer. But it's gonna cost a lot. It's gonna cost a lot, and to try and get any of the midfield targets we want this summer. That's why I think we can't be too picky about passing up on targets, potential ones like João Gomez, because you never know what it's going to cost for Baleba and Anderson and Wharton and these guys. You never know. So there could be a world where you have to spend so much that you just need an opportunity like Gomez to help rebuild the midfield at the right price. That's kind of how I see it. It's an opportunity. But yeah, maybe 80 to 90 or something for Anderson. And I think that you'll have to end up paying 80 to 90 for Baleba. And I think you'll have to end up paying 80 for Wharton at minimums. You know what I mean? And it's a lot. But if you could get Gomez for half of that, man, makes it a good opportunity too. Whatever. We'll see. The next few weeks are going to be very, very interesting. I think a big question will be, based on what happens over the next few weeks as well, to see where we go. If with Xerxes, with our results up through the Christmas period, with where we're looking at in January, I feel if we're on the edge, we got to jump. If we haven't pulled clear no way in the top four, we got to jump, man. We got to go. I can see us getting 3 midfielders, especially if Bruno and Casemiro go, possibly Ugarte. Yeah, agreed. We could get 3. How much do you think Buwadi will be? I have no idea on the price. I don't think it'd be crazy expensive, though. And that, again, would be another player I'd be very interested in United getting. But just bear in mind with his age, things like that, I think it would be wrong to assume that Buwadi is a player who could come in and make an impact right away. So to me, that one doesn't make sense to pay a premium in January. Same as like a Stiller. It doesn't make sense to pay premiums for those players. In January, you want to buy players who can make an impact now. Otherwise, you probably are going to pay a premium for them. And you're willing to pay a little bit of a premium if you're going to get 6 months of the season for them to help you get a better position in the league. Otherwise, it's not worth paying, extra money for a player like that. That's going to take a while to settle in. I really like Buwadi. I know United have looked at him as well. But yeah, two proven midfielders and a young prospect. I think something like that. And to be fair, we have Orozco, so it just depends Is he really good? How highly do they rate him? Is he that young prospect? Is he going to be in the first team next season? We don't know as of yet. There's a lot of really glowing thoughts about him at the moment. So maybe it turns out Orozco is going to be the young prospect, and we'll get 2 more. Gahey rumored to prefer United. Any truth? That I can't tell you because frankly I have no idea on that. That's I would only be purely guessing if I were to say anything to comment on that. I don't actually. But yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I think maybe, yeah, Kone should get a loan. January's going to be a bit of it could be, DB. That's the thing, DB Cooper. It well could be because our major targets are in summer. So it really speaks to what did they think? Could we let Cobby go for an opportunity like João Gomez? And then we're still moving on to a midfielder in summer. 2 midfielders in summer. Does Cobby come back? Or is that the end of him? Unknown questions. And I think this next 4 weeks is going to be so key to all of this because the games are going to come thick and fast. So many minds can change in such a short time in the dressing room. Suddenly you're getting minutes. Suddenly there's more games. Suddenly there's more time. Are you winning? Are you losing? All of those things have a big impact and it's not like that changes your long-term planning, but it can certainly change. It can shift the scales enough when you're considering something.
Kane to United in summer if we make UCL?
I would love Kane. I'm not going to make the mistake of saying, if Kane wasn't available, we should get him. But there's nothing in that at the moment. Nothing at the moment on that I would say. As far as I've heard, absolutely nothing about Kane actually coming back. With the World Cup in summer, I don't see. Well, that's the other thing. Samik's good point. Good point as well. We know that the prices are going to get worse in summer. We need to get deals done before the World Cup. So if there's opportunities in January, just consider it an extension of summer. Yeah. What have I been talking about? Mostly just the Semenyo opportunity. If Xerxes can nail down a spot with Sesko being out for 3 to 4 weeks, Xerxes gets an opportunity. Can he nail down a spot? If not, then really I think we do have to look at Semenyo as a potential opportunity that maybe Xerxes leaves, Semenyo comes in. But then there's also Gomez as an opportunity in January, potentially 44 million according to record. Maybe it's less. Could give us another midfield option. Could we then let Cobby go? Could we let somebody else go? Our main targets are going to be available in summer, but very expensive. There's a lot in the air here. And here's the thing. As long as we get the deals done in the end and get 2 midfielders plus, that would be nice. I'll be very happy. And I like every name. As long as we do something, I'm going to be happy with almost any plan here. And I'm not going to lose my shit if we don't make one of these signings in January. But come later on, if these are opportunities and we do pass them up, I will look at it and say, if we don't get Champions League, that we could have. That's why I think we have to try. And I don't care if we fail on Semenyo. That's the thing. If we try for someone like Semenyo and he chooses Liverpool, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about the banter and the bullshit on that. I don't care. We need to be in the conversation. And if we tried and we didn't get him and we didn't sign him and we end up not getting a signing because we can't get someone we really want, fine. As long as we tried, I'll be happy. As long as we tried, I'll be happy. So that's where I'm at. Okay. I think I'm going to end it here, guys. It's been nearly an hour. I need to go check on my kid, see how he's doing. Take care of a few things as we get towards the end of the day. But yeah, a lot going on. A lot of opportunities to try. A lot of things we could do here. Exciting times. I think the next 4 weeks in terms of games, what happens, how it goes with some of these players is going to be really, really big towards maybe shifting the scales a little bit in that discussion of what we do. Okay. Appreciate you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Please do smash a like on the video before you leave. Over 500 people here, nearly 600 for most of the stream. We can get 200 likes on it. If you can, it really, really, really does help. Before you leave, please do that. I would appreciate it a lot. It takes just half a second of your time to click the like button. Thank you very much, guys. Enjoy your evenings. And I'll be back. Probably our podcast, my podcast with Phil will be tomorrow, most likely. So I'll see you guys then. All right. Have a good one, everybody. Good night. See you later.